Welcome everybody, and we're talking about the Concourse syllabus today. I figured I would go ahead and record this and do a little tour of the Concourse syllabus tool and some of the ins and outs of working with it, and then get down to some questions and some individualized help and assistance after that. So what you're seeing here is actually the Concourse syllabus in the view mode on my screen. This is what students see essentially, and also you notice that over on the left hand or on the right hand side, actually they have all of these little tabs. You can use those to just jump to a section of the syllabus really quick like. So if you want to just go down to the schedule, you can just click on that and jump down to the schedule. And we're welcoming Ashley as well here. And so these are just a navigation tool over on the right that help them very quickly jump down to the schedule or jump up to the objectives or the contact information, whatever it is you're looking for. And for students, they actually really only have a couple of options here. They can download a copy of the syllabus as a PDF, and they can print it or they can view it. And that's pretty much it. As an instructor, naturally, you have some other, and by the way, if they do download, the PDF, it basically looks nice and clean. That's one of the nice things about it, is it kind of just puts everything together in one succinct PDF for the students. Of course, if they download the PDF, they've now taken a picture of it, and any changes you make after that are not going to be reflected in that PDF they downloaded. However, I'm going to show you how to edit the syllabus, and also a trick or two that you might be able to use to alert students if you do make changes to the syllabus after the start of the semester. For example, if you change the date on an assignment, or if you change point value or rubrics or any other aspect of your course, change up the weeks in the schedule or something like that. So really the first starting point as an instructor is how to get into the syllabus. And I'm using Jeff's course as an example here. What we did is put a Concourse syllabus link in every course in Blackboard for starters, so that the only way for you really to get in there is to go there from your Blackboard course into Concourse. So you'd go into any of your Blackboard courses, click on the Concourse syllabus. What that does is it launches what's called an LTI. It logs you in, and it launches it in a new browser. So you don't have to deal with another login or anything like that. And when you first get in there, you're basically looking at it with the view mode of what students see. And when you go under the syllabus menu in the upper left down to edit, that's when the real magic happens. You start to feel that tingly feeling, like little bells start to play and so on. And that's when you get to see all these icons that are next to some of these fields that are yellow icons. Those are the edit icons. You also see these green icons there. Those are to add fields into your syllabus. For example, if I add a meeting time, if I click on that, it's going to pull up a specialty. I call it like a specialty field, where it's got like you can put a day and a time in there and that type of thing. And it's got specific fields of information for the meeting time entry that you can check in there, that you can add in there. And location, that'd be a fine spot. You could put in a Zoom link in there if you want, that type of a deal. Anything that's in the comments box is only shown in the editor, and that means it's only for instructors. That could be a place where you could put notes for yourself for next time you run the class. It could be a place where you put notes for other instructors if you share it with some other instructor or something like that. Or it could be a place where there are notes for you, intended for you, that were put in there by Amanda Lenning, an associate dean or something like that. That's like, hey, make sure you keep an eye on this for your syllabus or that type of a thing. But anything that's in that comments field is not shown to students. It's only for instructors. Now, while I'm here, I'll just point out, this isn't applicable in this particular moment. Hey, welcome, Michelle. If you do, and I'm just going to go ahead and mute you here real quick. If you do use this save and notify button, students who have clicked on your syllabus and entered it are going to get a notification that by email that says, I just changed your syllabus. And this is a really, I'll actually just click on that now so you can see what it looks like. It's kind of a handy tool because what it allows you, well, I have it, okay, I got to put something in here first. Okay, 2:30, 3:30. Let me do it now. So what it does is it lets you send a little message to students. And again, this only goes out to students who have already clicked on your syllabus and viewed it. Okay, so usually it's not something that's going to be useful until the semester is underway and all of your students have pretty much clicked on your syllabus. And I'll show you how you can see which students have or have not clicked on your syllabus in a minute. But what it allows you to do is send a little message that says, hey, I just updated the schedule. I changed the number of points on this assignment. I changed the due date or whatever that happens to be. And you can copy yourself so you get a copy of the email so you know what it looks like. And you can basically type in a message to students and it encourages them to go back into your class and click on the Concourse syllabus so they can see the updated version of the syllabus. So this is a really kind of a handy thing, I think, for when you make a change during the semester and you want to alert students to it, it's just kind of built right in here. And again, the way to get to that was by using the save and notify button. So after the semester is started and the students are in there. So in general, what you're doing is going down through your syllabus and clicking on the edit icon to add your information in there. Now we have two different really types of fields here. We have these sort of major fields that have the yellow line underneath and a little red icon next to them, like contact information and description and objectives. And then we have these sort of subfields that are underneath. For example, this instructor professor field is underneath contact information. You could call it like a child field, if you will. Now, these child fields, you can very easily, you can delete it. If I delete it, no problem. It disappears. I can just click on contact entry to bring that field back in again, to start a new one, basically. So, you can use the contact entry field as a subfield, or you can go into the main field and just click the edit icon and just put all of your information in there. I think the easiest thing to do, I think, is for most people to have their Word document open and then to, copy whatever the text is or whatever from their Word document and this is just an example Word document I have here. But if I go to the top where it has like, okay, here's my instructor contact information, I could just copy that and then go back over here and paste that in there. And it does a pretty good job. It kind of strips out the color and any formatting and that type of stuff, and it makes it all very, so it's consistent. And then, you can fill it in from there and change it and whatnot and so on. And so you can copy and paste from your Word document into these fields pretty easily, including tables, which I'll show you a little later as well. And then just, save that. I'm not going to save in this case because it's Jeff's, although I think this course was canceled, but I don't want to mess with that. Some of the fields you cannot edit, like description and objectives, because those are set by curriculum committees and the MPC and so on. So if you did feel like, especially for advanced courses, you really needed to make a change there, you could email Amanda Lenning, and then she can kind of facilitate that process, and she'll get back with us to make the actual changes for you, and that is pretty quick if that something like that happens. So again, these fields do have these subfields. So if you found that you needed to add something else under outcomes aside from what's there, you can add another entry under that using the green icons. If you did happen to delete something that you didn't intend to, like let's say meeting times, typically you'll find them as a green icon way up at the top here. So if you deleted the schedule, for example, at the very bottom of your screen, I'll just scroll down there. Now, if I delete this sub item here, no problem. I can just kind of re-add that again as a new schedule entry. But if I delete this whole schedule item here, it kind of looks like, oh, it's just gone. But if I scroll all the way back up, I should see a green icon now that says schedule plus at the very top. Yeah, right up here. So that's how I would actually add that back in there. And now I have my schedule item. Now going back to a Word document here, I can grab a table from the bottom here. What I usually recommend for tables is you kind of, you start with the text that's above the table and you kind of go below the table. You see that little thing here. So copy the whole table plus a little above and a little below, just because sometimes that makes it paste in a little cleaner. And if I go in here and I paste that now, you can see again, it stripped out some of the formatting, but I got all the text in there. I can delete what was at the top and the bottom of it if I don't need it. And I've got a table in there now that I can work with and I can add in there and that type of thing. So tables will paste in there as well. And you can also use these table properties icons at the bottom to add rows in there or delete rows or add columns and delete columns and that type of thing. Very much like working with tables in Microsoft Word, really. And you can, you have your typical text tools up here: bold, italics, underline, color, your alignment of your text, bullets, numbered bullets, indentation, links. So if you want to put a link to some readings or something like that, you can highlight text and you can click the link tool and you can insert a link to a URL on the internet. And you can do that. You can break a link if you don't want it anymore, insert a table. So this has kind of all of your typical tools up there at the very top for your field. And notice there's a separate set for the comments box. That can be confusing because each box has its own separate set of tools. Okay, a couple of things as I do a real quick tour before we get down to some more questions and individualized things. These purple icons are to move things up and down. So some of them, like course policies, you're probably going to want to do a lot of alteration of what's there. They're just kind of some suggestions by default. You can use this if you can move class attendance to the top. And so you can use the purple icons to renumber or reorder those things there. And of course, you can use the pencil icon to edit them, and you can highlight the whole thing and get rid of it and paste in whatever you have in your Word document. And of course, you can delete some of those if you don't need them. And then again, toward the bottom, there are some things that you can't change, like the school-wide information. But if you can always repurpose one of these, like if you don't need class participation, you can rename that to something else. Maybe it's whatever, attendance policy or something like that, whatever you want to call it, you can rename. Some of them you can rename and some you can't. These sub items, generally you can rename and do whatever you want to do with them, reorder them, rename them, and so on. And of course you can add brand new ones that don't exist if you need to up at the top under where it says course policy plus, using that green plus icon. And then as we work our way to the bottom, you see here, we got some links in there as well. We've got these couple that you can't edit, like the school-wide information that has your letter grade information, the technical help, and so on. We've got institutional information about getting ADA accessibility accommodation requests, and those are maintained, by the entire campus. And that's pretty much it as you go through. Now, a couple of other things to point out. Up here at the top, as an instructor, you actually have a couple of other headers that others may not have. You have a little bit of extra information that's under info, not probably that useful for most of you. But the users is kind of interesting because there you can see which users are in there. Let's do another example here. Let's go over to Giselle's. I'm going to go to Giselle. Is that okay, Giselle, if I open your syllabus? I'm just hoping.
It's a new 1 credit. It's completely empty.
Oh, is it? Okay. Have you gone in there?
I have not.
Oh, you haven't. Okay.
It doesn't start until March. It's a 1 credit course.
Right. Well, I was looking for one where some folks had already gone in there so I could just show you what the users looks like. Oh, you know what? Maybe I can use mine as an example here. I bet maybe I have somebody else. Okay, I'm the only person in there too. Let's see. Maybe I'll go to one that's already running just so we can see what that kind of looks like. So if I go to a fall course, let's see. Let's see, is there a Singer one in here? Yeah, here we go.
Should
Jeff,
be.
is it okay if I take a look at yours quick, Jeff?
Yeah,
All
for sure.
right. So basically I'll open that Concourse syllabus, and what you'll see is, or I hope you'll see this time, is when you click on that users link, you'll see actually a list of all the students and or the faculty member in the class. So if I click on users, anybody who has ever clicked on it to open it should be in there now. So this, and you can see the total number of views. That's kind of interesting, especially the first week of class, to see how many students have been in there, how many views have been in there since August. You can see all of the different users, the number of times they've gone in there, the last time they viewed it. Have they viewed it since you last modified it? So if you made a change on the schedule, did they come back in and take a look at it again? And you can see the group that they're in. So here are the students down here, and the role that they're in, and the last time they viewed it, and you know, all that kind of information. So that users tab could be a kind of a informative for you, especially during those first couple of weeks. If you're, you know, checking out, if you see, oh, here's a couple of students who haven't even taken a look at the syllabus, you might reach out to them, and that type of thing. So that's under users, and that could be something that could be helpful for you as well. The other thing I want to mention briefly before we get into some questions is the copy feature. And the copy feature, for those of you who have filled out a full syllabus before, is pretty darn handy, because what it does is allows you to basically pull in all the work you did on another syllabus into this current one. And that could even be from a different class. So I'll just show you an example. So you have two directions to copy in, and it's very important to copy in the right direction. If you copy in the wrong direction, you could overwrite your entire syllabus. Like if you copied from spring to fall, and you could overwrite your old fall syllabus with your new spring one that's all empty, and that has actually happened. So just a little alert to make sure you kind of copy in the right direction. So what I want to do in this case is copy from another course from the fall into this one as an example. And by doing that, when I click on copy from, now I'm going to say, okay, now I have to find where's my course that I want to copy from. And so in this case, I'm going to say, well, you can probably just say my courses and hit search, and it'll just show you the courses that you're in. That's probably the easiest for you. In my case, I'm in like all the courses, so it's going to be a little confusing, but let's just say I search for Singer. Okay, now I've got, you can see he shows up in a bunch of different syllabi, even though they're not his. Let me try that again. What's a class that you taught in the fall, Jeff?
Oh, 713.
713. Okay, so I'm going to search for 713. I'm going to have hopefully some better luck. Okay, well, here's the template. Let's say that this is Jeff's fall course. So what you would do would be to click on copy, and then it's going to come up and say, well, which fields do you want to copy? And you can check all of them, or you can check just a subset of them. So you could say, well, I don't want my schedule because that's actually a different class, but I want the, you know, the contact information. And well, you may not even, I don't know if you have description and objectives, because those should be set anyway. So you shouldn't need to copy those. But materials, deliverables, evaluation, the course policies, especially schedule, these would be the types of things that you would probably want to import from one class to the other. Or if you teach multiple different classes, maybe you just want your course policies brought in from a different class into this class, because you set all those up and you like to use the same course policies across all your classes, and you don't have to redo all of that again. So you could do that, and when you click copy, it's going to basically copy from the one that you established to another. And I won't do that right now because it's not the right place, but you notice that when we're starting that copy process, again, we have the ability to copy from one class, copy from the fall to the spring, or copy to. So I can copy from, if I'm in my fall class, I could go from there and copy to the spring, for example. Or you can copy to many. If you have multiple, this is great if you have multiple sections. If you're teaching 2 or 3 sections of the same class, you can just fill in one syllabus and then do copy to many and find your other ones and copy the one that you did into those other two that you're going to teach as well. So that's a pretty handy tool for doing that. And the process is the same, how whichever direction you go, you find the class, you click on the copy icon, and then you select which boxes you want to copy over, and it's pretty quick and you're done. And that really, in a super duper nutshell, aside from the fact that when you click on the icon here, you should see a list of all the courses that you've gone into that are yours. You can see I've got a ton of them. You probably only have 4 or 5 or 10. But that's another way that you can go to see all of the classes that you have clicked into from Blackboard. So that's my brief presentation about the ins and outs of Concourse. And now I welcome your questions, comments, and ideas. Yes, Giselle, you're first up.
So going back to the course policies again, are they policies that are generated and consistent from the university level, or are they policies that you would develop as the instructor?
So normally when you first come in, what you're going to see is a suggested set of policies. Basically, it's kind of like the old Word document where you got a Word document and it had all this stuff in it and they're all in all these different colors. And the idea was that you would go through and you would you know, kind of edit the things and take out some of it and change it and so on. That's the whole idea with the course policies. These are a set of kind of general suggestions. Some of it, like the class attendance, is already set up so that you really have to edit it because it's got stuff for hybrid classes or online classes or stuff you would want to remove anyway. But really the idea is that this is all very customizable to your needs for your class. So this is a suggestion. It's got some things in there that you might use, you might just get rid of altogether, you might just build upon and add to it. But that's really, it's all entirely up to you. The course policies is, there's nothing in there that you couldn't necessarily take out. What we did was we put all the stuff that we wanted to make sure didn't get changed into areas that you couldn't change, like the school-based information or the institutional-based information, or the only other ones you can't really edit are the objectives and the course description and the outcomes, because those are more set at the curriculum level. All right. Who else has got a question?
Clark, this is more just in your opinion. I'm teaching a course where we meet synchronously alternating weeks, you know, and I think a lot of folks are doing that. And I'm wondering, what's the best way, the least confusing way to show that at the top of the syllabus where you have the meeting times?
Yeah, I think one way would be, you know, you could probably just using a text or maybe a table, you know, put in, you know, maybe you'd insert a table and have the date in one column, and then the next column would be like, you know, there'd be a Zoom link only on the weeks when you're meeting on Zoom, or in the second column or something like that, you know, or maybe there's a list of all the dates, but then only the ones where you're meeting has the Zoom link there or something like that.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Yeah, last semester I knew that you know, I got the email alerts on a couple mornings where we weren't meeting together. I saw some people signed on and I was like, oh, it's confusing somehow.
Right. Yeah. The other thing is, and I'll just mention this is a little bit off topic, but just so you know, in the courses, there's also the Zoom meetings link we put into all the courses this time. And there's both Collaborate Ultra and Zoom, and they're both hidden from students for starters, because some people use one or the other. So what you can do is, let's say you know you're going to use Zoom. You can actually, when you click on that, it launches an LTI that logs you into Zoom right from Blackboard. And you can actually schedule your meetings right from here by using it. And what this does is it puts a list of your meetings right in your class so that students can join from here, or you can join from here. And if you put in the dates, you know, you can put a recurring meeting that recurs every other week or whatever. And then that would just show the students also exactly the dates when they're going to have the class. And then, you know, they could go in this way. So, I mean, that's just another option. But some people are using this to basically, so you can't see it here because there are no meetings, but if there are meetings scheduled, they'll show up right here and it'll have the date and the time and it'll say join. And then they can just click on join to go into the meeting from there. And so that's another way you can do it.
Okay. And also, Clark, what is the difference technically in terms of using the personal room versus, I've been using my personal room just to have one, you know, to always go there, regardless of whether or not I was doing a one-on-one consult or a class meeting time. Is there a reason for actually scheduling a formal meeting for the class time? Do you have a preference?
I think it depends on you and your preference, but also, I mean, I personally would keep my personal meeting room for like office hours and that type of thing. And what I have for my meeting room is I have it where it has the waiting room. So I have to allow people in, which I think is better for office hours. Whereas I wouldn't want to have the waiting room on for a class because it'd be like going to open the door constantly, right?
Yeah.
You know, as people are coming in.
Okay.
So, you know, but you can disable the waiting room on your personal room too. So, you know, you can certainly do that. My preference personally would lean toward setting up a separate set that's outside of my personal meeting room and just keeping that for, but that's also because I'm not teaching and I'm just doing meetings all the time, mostly anyway. So, but I use it a lot for meetings and that type of stuff. So you know, I wouldn't want people constantly like showing up there, you know, and at the wrong time and that kind of a thing.
Right. Okay,
Ashley,
thank you.
did you have something you want? Yeah, you bet. Ashley, did you have something you wanted to say?
Oh, I just wanted to say, yeah, like I think that's just the risk of using the personal meeting room is that like everyone who you've given it to has that link, you know? Yeah. So.
Yeah, and then you could be using it for you could be collaborating with colleagues across the country on writing a paper or something, and then you could be like students dropping in, like trying, you know, coming into your personal room. So that could be confusing, I suppose. Totally. Other questions?
Hey, Clark, this is Michelle speaking. I'll see if I can start my video there.
Hey, Michelle.
Hi. Are you saying for the schedule, the course schedule in the syllabus, can I just copy from my Word document on the syllabus and drop it in the entire semester there?
Yeah.
I heard you say that we could copy from a previous course, but with the changes, so I can just copy from a Word document and paste it right in there.
You bet. And let me just show you one thing about that, which is some of these by default, when you first go in there, there are two pieces to the schedule as examples. The main piece with the yellow line and the red icon, and then below it, there's this sort of sub piece. These sub pieces are meant to be a session by session thing. And if you use those, it's very much like you'd have to copy and paste each session separately. Typically, if you want to just copy and paste your whole thing from your Word document, what I would recommend is first I would get rid of this subsession thing and you can just delete that and get rid of it. And then go up to this main one and then click edit there. And that would be where you would paste it in. So here you see I've got an example table. If I go to my Word document, I have to go up and find my schedule here. Here's my schedule. So like, it might be, here's the sort of old template, right? So I see semester schedule of classes. I can come down here, like, let's say I'll just do the first 3 for an example. I hit copy there, come over here. I'm just going to select it all and delete it. And then I'm going to paste, and it went in pretty good. There's a little extra space here I would probably take out in between the weeks, just because if they're going to print it, it's just going to be extra paper, right? So I would take out some of the extra spaces, but it pastes in pretty well otherwise. And then you can continue to come in and change the readings or change the, you know, the activities or anything else.
Okay, I've got it. Thank you so much. This is outrageously helpful. Thank you
Oh,
so
good.
much.
Any other questions I can help out with, or does anybody have a use case you want to look at or something very specific you'd like to take a look at that you found difficult?
I concur that this is very helpful. I'm sure I will have additional questions once I start doing it, but I will hold them for that eventuality if you don't mind.
No problem.
So unfortunately, you'll probably hear from me as I start this, but I appreciate you showing us all this.
Oh, no worries. Absolutely.
With
Clark,
that-
I guess I do have one more question. Given how alive the Concourse syllabus is, do we still need to put all of the details in course materials on Blackboard, or can the students just access everything right here?
Well, I think it depends on what you're trying to provide for them. Typically, I would still recommend have, especially if you have PDFs or PowerPoint slides or anything like that, that type of stuff is not really gonna work in here. I mean, you can link to readings if they're on the web from
Right.
here, but if you have actual files, I think all of that would need to be in your course materials and ideally organized in folders by week or
Right.
section.
Okay.
Yeah. And then also, of course, you'd have, any like assignment drop boxes or quizzes or any of those types of things would be in there as well. Yeah. So I think you can't really have files or anything like that with this. It's more just like kind of your guidebook for the semester.
Okay, I see. Thank you for that.
Anything else for you, Giselle?
Not really. I'm still working on the actual Word document syllabus. I don't know if there are templates for that would be helpful for a syllabus. I see that they're much more have much more content than the last time I taught.
Okay. Yeah. And so, well, I have yours here. I'll just pull up real quick. So this is a good example of what it looks like right out of the box, right? And yours is a $6.99, isn't it? So 6.99s are a little bit different too, because they don't even have a description or outcomes. So basically you'll have to just send those to us to put in there.
Well, no, it's not. It's a 1 credit, and I it's not. I don't know. I don't know if she set it up as a $6.99 or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know what? She did. She did set it up as a $6.99.
Right. You notice the change when I go from the view to edit mode here. When the view mode, like it's just basically your syllabus, right? When I go into edit mode, of course, and you get all these icons that show up, but also you have these fields. These kind of replace what used to be in the Word document, the colored writing and so on. So like these types of things, right? Comment cards and so on. So a lot of that kind of just got put into this environment and altered slightly. And all of those sort of notes to people ended up in these comment fields here that students can't see. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty blank for starters. So it's really kind of up to you. I mean, there's a suggested set of course policies again, but you can do, whatever you want with those, or you can kind of use them as is. Well, not all of them, like class attendance obviously has to be altered, but submission and so on of assignments and conduct and so on. But it's really up to you. And you could also take another Word doc, any of your old syllabi from previous times you've taught, whatever you had in there, we can build into here. You can replace these with the text from yours, or you can build in new fields by using the green icon.
I'm glad it's not starting till March. And Ashley's already reached out to me, so I feel like with this and her support, I'm in good hands. So.
Certainly are. Awesome. Any further questions? Oh, sorry. I'm not hearing you.
And I apologize. I don't think you went over this, but when you're importing or copying, right, like a syllabus from one term to another, I think it's also changing what's up at the top. The header,
this stuff here?
Oh, maybe it's not actually.
I
Hold
was
on.
gonna say it better not be.
Wait, okay, that's my question. So is it changing the stuff at the top?
I,
It's
it
that's
better
fixed
not
all the
be.
time.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't.
Okay.
Because that is, and this is behind the scenes as like an administrator, when you go to course settings, there are these fields that ultimately, you know, only an administrator can change, you know, that are those types of things that show up at the top there, like how many credits it is and you know, that type of stuff.
Okay, so instructors can't.
I
change
have that
So-
too.
This is separate from the copy process. It's not something that's copyable.
Okay.
Oh, excuse me, this is Michelle again. I have that problem going on right now. I thought that was going to be something I could edit, but mine says spring 2021, and then the dates are January 15th of 2020 through
Oh,
May of 2020.
That's, you know what? I think that's my, I, I think when I set these up, which was months ago, I put 2020 instead of 2021. So that's something I'm just going to have to correct on all of them.
Oh no.
That was an initial setup error. Yeah, this is
Okay.
classic, like writing checks for 2020 when it's 2021, right?
It says modified 1/12/21, but then the dates are actually flowing more. I can't remember what the dates of last year were, but anyway, so mine says 2020. So I need to.
Yeah, no, thanks for pointing that out. I appreciate it, Michelle. I'm going to have to go back and change all those. I had not even noticed that. That's funny. All righty.